absolutely amazing. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and the photos that the Artemis II mission are sending back from the moon are incredible. Now, before I get to Moonrise 1968 versus Moonrise 2026, I do want to let you know that I have another video that you might have already seen. If you haven't seen it just yet, the link is down below to check out the video where I break down the blue marble photos, because there was a lot of discussion between why does the 2026 version look the way it looks versus the other one that was taken in 1972. Now, before I turn into the computer, what is insane about this entire process is that it seems like it became a mission about photography.
All four of them are working to deploy various cameras and equipment that will be used during the flyby. They'll also be adjusting the spacecraft's lighting and positioning of each crew member to ensure that all of the equipment, cameras, as well as the individual placement of each of them works and will be seamless during the flyby observation period.
That, to me, is great. Now, yes, of course, there's scientific things that are going on, and there's scientific images that the astronauts will need to capture being up there as photographers, but hearing the astronauts on the way to the moon, about to go around the moon, talk about the settings of their cameras and how they're gonna shoot and what lens they're gonna use.
Victor is also working on a test objective related to the D5 camera and taking some images at varying focal lengths of subjects such as the Earth and the Moon to evaluate the window optical effects on imagery.
For me as a photographer, that was awesome, and it's shining a light on how important still images still are today, and quality still images are today. Remember, we don't want to accept mediocrity. Anyway, more on that later. This is the Earthrise photo that Artemis II sent back and NASA posted this morning. I saw this and I went, wow. This is jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring. And it's different than what they saw in 1968. I did tweak it myself. This is what NASA posted, and I just tweaked it just a little bit to make it look what I think is a little better here in Lightroom. Now, before I get into this 1968 photo, let me just talk about the format. This was done in a square. I'm sure some people might look at it and be like, why is this a square and the other isn't? Well, the cameras that were used in 1968 were a Hasselblad camera shooting medium format square film. So it was a square format. The film is actually a square when you take the pictures. Now it's on a roll, and then it's like a square, and that's how you get the photo. And the photos today captured with the Nikon D5 and the Z9, they are taken with a 35mm sensor, which is shaped just like this, which is a 2:3 aspect ratio. In order to get square, you would need to crop the image to make it a square. That's why you see a slight difference. Now, the Earthrise image from 1968 almost didn't happen. The astronauts were tasked with photographing potential landing spots on the moon when they caught the Earth rising behind the moon. And they're like, we need to take pictures.
We were busy shooting pictures of the lunar surface for lunar landing sites for upcoming lunar landings. And then suddenly I looked out the window and here was this gorgeous orb coming up, and I thought, holy moly.
And there over the lunar landscape was the Earth. The Earth was beautiful. It was the only thing in the whole universe that had any color.
I had fought to have a long lens and color film. I didn't have a light meter, just banged off a dozen or so pictures, changing the f-stop each click.
Understanding that the astronauts weren't tasked with taking this photo, but when they saw the Earth rising and was like, holy shit, we need to take this picture, and they quickly made sure that they got in the color film and had the long lens on and took it at a bunch of different exposures just to make sure they got something, that right there is impressive. And that's why this has been one of the most impressive images in the history of space travel and photography until today. Until you see what the Artemis mission has sent back. And this right here is awe-inspiring and jaw-dropping. It gets even better when we look at the other images. But for me, as a photographer, what I notice is the compression, being that this is done at 400 millimeters. That is a long zoom. That is what they call the long lens. When you listen to the astronauts talking to each other and talking back to Houston, is they're talking about the long lens. And what they mean is the 80 to 400 zoom lens. And this photo was taken with the Nikon D5. And remember, they have to shoot through glass. So you're shooting through some super thick glass, and you also have to cut down on any potential glare. And we heard the astronauts talking about a shroud.
One crew member will be taking photos from window 2 with a blue shroud over the window. This can help prevent that glare or reflection from inside Orion. They have an 80 to 400 millimeter zoom lens to use.
Let me show you, because we can see right here at the top that you put the lens through it, you tighten it, and that cuts down on any extra light that might bounce off of the windows and cause some issues or flare in your image. But this Earthrise is incredible. Now, let's take a quick look at some of the images that the Apollo missions got of the moon. Now, they were just trying to get the landing pictures. So that makes total sense. It's a picture of the moon. It's a picture of the moon. And then of course here, check this out. This is what they look like with their Hasselblad strapped to their suits. That is pretty incredible. This right here is taken with the Nikon Z9. The reason I bring up this type of image is I'm sure there's scientific reasons that the astronauts were tasked with taking this type of photo. I just want to say from a photographic standpoint, it's a picture of the moon. It's something that you generally could potentially take from Earth. But if you decide to do something different like Earthrise and you create some dimension, some interest in the image, well, that's when you end up with a photograph and not just a snapshot. You are capturing something that nobody else on Earth has the ability to capture. And that's why the gear doesn't matter so much. And of course, we know that gear matters in some sense of the word, but all that matters is that someone was able to capture this. I couldn't capture it because I'm not there. Only those 4 people are there. Oh, and I found it interesting that they're roughly 4,000 miles away from the moon when they're taking this picture. 4,000 miles is like Philly to Hawaii, or just about to Hawaii. That is a long span. And being over 250,000 miles away from Earth, to be able to get the 2 things in the frame, insane. Now, a couple of other images they beamed back I think are incredible. This right here, I don't know if it gets any better than this image. The fact that we are seeing the dark side of the moon with Earth coming up over the left-hand side over there is mind-blowing. To me, this is potentially the strongest image of the bunch. I mean, the composition is beautiful, the exposure is right on, the Earth looks incredible, the moon looks incredible. It is insane.
We have Earth out window 4 and Moon out window 3, and it gives you the best idea of scale we have had yet. The Moon is about 3 to 4 times the size of the Earth, and it is almost full, and the Earth is just a small crescent out there. It's magnificent. I got a picture of it.
Now, in one of the transmissions, you might have heard one of the astronauts saying that the photos don't do it justice.
The camera settings for Earthshine are challenging. This one's challenging to capture. What we're seeing, we're just not picking up on the cameras. And after all of the amazing sights that we saw earlier, we just went sci-fi. This has, it just looks unreal.
Now, they're not saying that they weren't able to get the proper exposure or the settings right. They were saying that what we are seeing with the naked eye is very difficult to replicate with the still image. Like this, for instance, was taken with the Nikon D5 as well, and you can see, I believe it's Venus off to the left-hand side. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. And even more mind-blowing is the Nikon Z9 shot. Actually, what's more mind-blowing is that they have a 35 f2D. And anybody who knows Nikon knows that that is a super ancient lens. Look, it gets the job done. We know it gets the job done, but that was kind of a shocking lens to hear that they used. But this photo, a solar eclipse, I mean, it defies My brain can't comprehend what is going on here. Oh, I did tweak it just a little bit, by the way. I just tightened the contrast just a little bit. I just did that myself. That's just what I thought looked better. But just look at the dimensions that it's capturing. Unbelievable.
This is continues to be unreal. The sun has gone behind the moon, and the corona is still visible, and it's bright, and it creates a halo almost around the entire moon. It is truly hard to describe. It is amazing.
Just awe-inspiring and mind-blowing. A couple more images here. I mean, just look at Earth. That's the one that NASA put up, and this is with my slight little tweak. I just think it looks better, bringing the highlights back down on Earth to make it look better. I just think that stands out. But my God, just look at these images. Just look at what they were capturing. This stuff is incredible. I do also want to point out that, they took selfies on the Apollo missions. Not exactly good photos, potentially because obviously it's out of focus. They don't have the right film. The shutter speeds were totally different. Well, much slower because they didn't have super fast film. They were lucky enough to get this one that is basically in focus, and then this one, which is super famous, but out of focus as well. That's because they didn't have a lot of light to work with. They weren't working with modern technology. Now, we do have some selfies that were taken on the Artemis mission, and they are terrible. They are terrible because they are taken with the iPhone. That's not to say the iPhone isn't capable of getting good photos, but personally, I would have taken out the Nikon Z9 or the D5. Okay, I say personally. I'm not going to be going around the moon. We get that. But what I would have done is put the 14 to 24 millimeter lens on the D5, held it right there in space because, it could just float there, put it on a timer, take a bunch of pictures, and call it a day and get better pictures. Instead, we're accepting mediocrity. And I know some people are going to be like, well, that's the time. That's your great photos. No, they're not. They're not. We can tell you that these selfies are really, really bad. Continuing on with the selfie, like all of the noise reduction that's added to these images, they're just not good. Now, there are some other images that were taken with, I'll call that real cameras in the capsule. This one's done at 20,000 ISO with the Z9, and honestly, the Z9 holds up really well at high ISOs, but it's done with that 35 millimeter. I personally would have preferred to have seen these pictures taken with the 14 to 24, just to convey the space that they're in. Like this is taken with the 35 millimeter, the f2 done at 2.5, and it's not focused anywhere. Again, I'm not trying to be critical here. I'm just saying this could have been done with the 14 to 24 just to show inside the capsule here. But this is a cool shot. Seeing the astronaut here lit up from, I guess, the moon, this is done really well. This is exposed nicely. But at the end of the day, this image, Earthrise 2026, is incredible. Of course, Earthrise 1968, taken 50 some years ago, is insane. I mean, just that they took that back then, amazing. Just one of those images that lives on forever, and I feel that this image will live on forever as well. I think that these astronauts have done a tremendous job. They're not photographers, but they have the best coaching and the best training in the world, and they went up there and they absolutely delivered. These images are historic. This is a big win for photography. Just the fact that over the last couple of days, all we've heard about this mission has been centered around the pictures.
I had the unfortunate sequence to start looking out the window and then moved to the long lens, and it was hard to speak looking through the zoom because I went straight where Christina went, and I was walking around down there on the surface, climbing and off-roading on that amazing terrain.
Well, after just being in the 400 mil for the last half hour, looking up close, I got pictures of everything Ike was just describing on the Terminator. It really is a fascinating Terminator.
You see some of what you're describing. We cannot wait to see your photos. Thanks.
I love photography, and I love the fact that they're talking about photography. and quality will continue to win. Mediocrity will not win. So remember, you are going and documenting these historic things, pick up the real camera. Do it right. Don't take the easy way out. And don't forget to shoot raw. These images, I believe, were all shot in Nikon electronic format, which is NEF, which is their raw format. So I thank you guys very much for watching. Jared Polin, PhotoPhoto.com. See ya.
I think one of the most interesting things right now is the four of us have looked at this moon our entire lives, and the way we are responding to what we are seeing out the window is, it's just like we're a bunch of little kids up here. We cannot get enough of this. It's amazing.